UFC on Versus 3 is live March 3rd. That's a Thursday. There will be 4 official main card bouts that will be televised, so I'll run through those, give my predictions. And then there's a few on the undercard that are actually really interesting and intrigue me. So once I do the main card predictions, I'll talk about those other fights and give the predictions for those also. So with that being said, let's get to the first fight. Brian Bowles takes on Damacio Page. This is actually a rematch. Both these guys are coming over from the WEC and previously fought in 2008. Brian Bowles defeated Page by a guillotine choke in the first round. Made quick work of him. Page is a brawler. He can stand and bang. He's also got some submissions, but I think Brian Bowles once again will defeat Page. This time it'll be by TKO, second round. Bowles is coming off a loss to current bantamweight champion Dominic Cruz. He suffered a TKO loss there, and so I'm looking for Bowles to rebound, take the win, and jump right back into title contention. So I take Bowles, TKO, second round. In the second televised fight, Alessio Sakara takes on Chris Weidman. Alessio Sakara has won his last 3 fights, including his last victory over Sandman Irvin, where he broke Irvin's orbital bone in the first round. Chris Weidman, he's 4-0 outside the UFC, including a KO victory and a submission victory. He calls himself the All-American. He's got a wrestling background, college wrestling background, very accomplished. And I see the wrestling being the difference in this fight. Sakara has been out for almost a year. He's pulled back because of illness, and he was supposed to fight Marquardt last year, and that didn't happen. And since then, just his fights have just been falling out and not happening. So he's been out for almost a year. I see Weidman, like I said, coming in, wrestling Sakara down to the ground, controlling him, and then eventually getting good positioning on him and pounding him out. TKO, round 2 for Chris Weidman, making his UFC debut. In the third fight, Mark Munoz takes on CB Dalloway in what I think is the toughest fight to call. Both guys have the similar styles, both wrestlers. Both guys have mediocre stand-up. I know CB Dalloway's got some submissions. He's got a good guillotine, and this fight, like I said, it's tough to call, but I don't see it being one of those fights where the wrestling cancels out and we end up having a slugfest where both guys are just duking it out. I think Munoz will try and press Dalloway up against the cage, try and work for a takedown. If he can avoid the submissions, then I think he'll have the advantage. I'm taking Munoz by unanimous decision. I think he'll mix it up more with his wrestling, takedowns, and stand-up. He'll be a little bit bigger than Dalloway. So I'm taking Mark Munoz in a tough fight to call by unanimous decision. The main event of the evening, Diego Sanchez takes on Martin Kampmann in what's going to be an awesome matchup. Diego Sanchez is coming off a unanimous decision victory over Paulo Thiago. Although Sanchez got pretty much dominated in the first round, he was able to come back and win an impressive second and third round, including a highlight reel slam, one of the best I've seen, where he picked up Paulo Thiago on his shoulder, screamed, and then ran and slammed him down on the mat. Martin Kampmann's coming off a split decision loss to Jake Shields, who's now fighting GSP for the welterweight title. Like I said, this is going to be an awesome matchup. My pick is Martin Kampmann by unanimous decision. I think his striking's a little bit more precise and technical. I think Sanchez is going to try and use his wrestling to take it to the ground, although I think Kampmann's going to stuff a lot of his attempts and keep the fight standing. But even if the fight does get to the ground, I think Kampmann has the well-rounded submission game, so he's still dangerous off of his back and on the ground. I see this fight mostly taking place on the feet, and I see Kampmann's technical striking being the advantage. Never seen Diego Sanchez in a boring fight, but I'm taking Martin Kampmann by unanimous decision and what's sure to be an awesome main event. Quick rundown on a couple fights on the undercard that I find really intriguing. Joe Stevenson is taking on Danny Castillo. Castillo's coming over from the WEC, and Stevens coming off of that KO loss to Mac Danzig. I see Joe Stevenson bouncing back and working his way to a unanimous decision over Danny Castillo. Steve Cantwell takes on Cyril Diabate. Steve Cantwell hasn't fought since 2009, where he lost to Brian Stann by unanimous decision. He's a former WEC light heavyweight champion, actually beat Brian Stann in the WEC by TKO to win that title. He's taking on Cyril Diabate, who's a vicious stand-up kickboxer. Diabate's coming off a submission loss to Alexander Gustafsson. I see Cyril Diabate winning this fight. Cantwell, he's been out a while. I see Diabate catching him, using his stand-up, and knocking him out. I'm going to go first round TKO for Cyril Diabate, but this fight should be very interesting and entertaining. And the last undercard fight that I'm going to talk about, Shane Roller takes on Thiago Tavares. Shane Roller, making his UFC debut, coming over from the WEC, takes on a tough submission fighter in Tavares. Shane Roller's style, he's a wrestler. He does have some submissions to his credit, but I think Thiago Tavares' submission game is on another level. If Roller tries to wrestle him down to the ground, I just see him being submitted. I'm taking Tavares by submission round 2. So that's it. Those are my UFC on Versus 3 predictions. Subscribe, Twitter, blog. The links are in the description box. Hopefully I'll be back soon to give Henderson versus Feijiao Strikeforce predictions, and then also UFC 128. John Jones takes on Shogun. Subscribe, Twitter, blog. That's all I gotta say. Check back. Peace.